I think this is either a Cummins or a Caterpillar diesel. They can be pretty loud, but not in a piercing, hot rod, Harley pipe sort of way. They are comforting, like a Doppler-esque white noise, trance-building sound that at night can lull you to sleep and prepare you for dreamland. Those sounds differ from the Detroit diesel engine. That engine, it'll take that sleep you once had and slap it across the room. My brothers and I grew up with these sounds. At night, the barges would shine their spotlights ashore to clear the bow, or maybe even to catch a glimpse of something tawdry. I don't know. But in my case, those lights in my window filled my imagination and made me love where I was in that moment. It's one of the reasons for this, our first episode of a series. There are hundreds of stories to tell, and we want to share some of them with you. I hope we tell them well. And while we've got a lot to learn about how to do this, we need to get it right, because this is our home, and it's a really great home. 42 countries have I seen. Through it all, just one dream. Just my whiskey glass full and a hand to hold. Home is where your straw hat is. Love is where your people are. Joy is loving what you have, and I have you, and you have me. It's hard to imagine that the nature and the people here have on more than one occasion been threatened. Hurricanes? Oh yeah, we've seen a few of those. The economic crisis? For sure, that hurt a lot. So much has tried to beat this area down. But the forward steps have always been greater in number than the backward ones. And while this place isn't without its challenges, it is rife with strength. Our first episode brings us to the Waterway district of Gulf Shores. This is where my three brothers and I grew up. It is part of us, and we are a part of it. We built our home a mile away from here, right on the canal, leveraging the talents of my grandpa, the developer. We're so grateful that he had the foresight to buy a piece of land on this historically game-changing canal. My brother Frank and I met with my parents at Acme Oyster House to talk about what it was like to move here.
We were building on the canal for us and 4 teenage boys, big house. And a guy came over and said, you're building on the wrong side of the tracks here in this town. You should be building on Ono Island or something. And I was thinking of the school bus ride that you all would have had from Ono Island all the way to Foley High School.
Thanks for sparing us.
It was bad enough from here.
As a kid, my understanding of the canal stretched from Oyster Bay to the W.C. Holmes Bridge, basically as far as I could see from my backyard.
Take me back to the Dotson era, when I first saw the happiness in my father's eyes.
But the waterway itself? Well, that was a major achievement. When FDR's infrastructure development programs led to its completion in 1936, it completed a vision of U.S. waterways that went back as far as the early 1800s. It goes from Apalachicola, Florida, all the way to Brownsville, Texas, over 1,000 miles. It's part of a system of waterways that brings safe inland navigation to the eastern part of the country. Its primary function, of course, is to fuel commercial activity, but it's also great for private boaters. In fact, as part of the Great Loop, if you had the mind and the boat to do it, you could circumnavigate around Florida, up the East Coast, through the New York State canals, the Canadian canals, the Great Lakes, and down the inland rivers back to the Gulf of Mexico. So yeah, the Waterway is a pretty big deal. It is a super highway of sorts, but as far as Gulf Shores was concerned, it was a highway without an off-ramp. I'm standing here with a very tolerant pelican on a cold January day at the northernmost part of Weeks Bay, right at the mouth of Fish River. This is home to the Weeks Bay National Estuarine Research Reserve. That's a mouthful. Try to say that 10 times fast. It used to be home of Lulu's Sunset Bar and Grill, which was owned by Lucy Buffett, sister of Jimmy Buffett, who I'm sure you all know. As she was getting close to the end of her lease, the property was bought by the Alabama Conservation Department, which was in partnership with the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA. That partnership was solely focused on ecological preservation and research. And because of their research, they elected not to renew Lucy's lease. So Lucy and her partner Mac McAleer decided to pack up their bar, palm trees and all, put it on a barge, and literally barge their way into Gulf Shores. This move changed Gulf Shores forever and gave the Waterway District a real boost.
Now all you wanna do is ride around the Sally ride.
How has Lulu's changed since the movement from Weeks Bay?
So since that time, I mean, it's evolved. Every year it's kind of evolved. And we add a little bit or grow a little bit, and we've become from this small little dive that was kind of a hub for boaters and things like that, and we've grown into more of a kid-friendly, really family-friendly environment, and it's kind of all about the kids, really.
Right, your kids like it?
My kids love here. They've never missed a New Year's Eve. You know, Lucy spoke this last New Year's Eve the other day, and she did mention, thank you for everybody for coming. We are powered by the kids. We're powered by the children.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lucy Buffett. Could y'all please give a big hand for it's damn right. Alabama grown in Birmingham. Y'all are fabulous, man. They're gonna be playing. I said you gotta love what you're doing. You gotta love your kids, and you gotta love Lulu's to come out on a day like this. So thank you, thank you, thank you. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year!
We just came off of New Year's Eve, and it was a great event. And she was really touched with the weather being the way it was and not so great. And 1,800 people showing up on a day like that, it's kind of touching.
You know, you have a neighbor here who lives fairly close, who is a big fan of Lulu's. His whole family, including even his dog.
My dog loves coming over here. Has been. The dog's 13 years old now, and when she was a little faster, she, in your early days, got into your kitchen supplies and brought home two containers of grease and had a feast in our front yard. I think she found a honey hole.
Yeah.
And kept coming back.
She was stashing it away.
So Lulu's was the first boost to the Waterway District, but it got a second boost from an unlikely villain. In April 2010, the catastrophic BP oil spill fouled the beautiful water and white sandy beaches, completely killing the summer tourist season with a devastating economic and environmental impact. Inspired by Lulu's move to Gulf Shores, a coalition of city planners and visionary business leaders decided that it was time to build a second destination on the Intercoastal Canal. That destination? The Waterway District. we decided to take a boat trip with Kenny Kickler to talk about the area. Kenny and Frank's friendship goes back 40 years. Kenny is a triathlete, a serious biker, and the CFO of Tacky Jack.
Kenny, back in the day, how busy was White Night over there?
It was very busy, and it actually started right about here. My grandpa's boat was tied up right over here. This shrimp boat was called the Lisa. We used to go out with him and my grandmother when I was probably 3 or 4 years old.
Bunny's boat?
Yeah. Probably my earliest memories are going out shrimping on that boat. Over here was the shrimp shed, and one summer my father's boat broke down at the beginning of the season, and so I didn't have any work for the first 2 weeks, and I actually went and worked in the beheading shed. That was very interesting, yeah.
It was 10 feet tall.
This bridge was built in 73, I believe, 72, 73.
72, yeah.
This is probably one of my very earliest memories. Over to the left, there's where Lulu's is. There, that was called Southport. On the right is Tacky Jack's. Tacky Jack's was a famous nightclub that was called the Anchorage. Many a good tugboat captain, shrimp boat captain brawl happened there, and then next to that, behind it was a hotel.
That's because this was where the old drawbridge was.
Yeah, this is exactly where the old drawbridge was.
You've lived a lot of your life on this canal.
Yeah, and it's a long time ago though. You know, it's good to get to come back. You know, Tacky Jack's we opened up in 2011, built that place, and I guess I got reacquainted with the canal then.
Interesting, you went from shrimping to CFO of Tacky Jack's in the same place.
Yeah, it's not that different. My favorite story about this restaurant is the duct tape. I don't know if you guys noticed, but there's duct tape everywhere. And it's not really to hold the building up or anything. But it started when we were opening a restaurant. The manager wanted name tags for the employees because he couldn't remember their names, and we didn't have name tags, so somebody took a piece of duct tape and wrote the name on it. So that kind of stuck. And then when we opened up here, a couple months later, or a year later, some of the employees started taking their name tag off when they left work and sticking it on the wall. And it was everywhere before anybody noticed, and then all of a sudden our customers are asking for duct tape. So now when people come here, they ask for duct tape so they can put their name on the wall.
Tacky Jack's was built before the Waterway district was started. It was one of the catalysts of business on the intercoastal here.
Yeah, as I recall, we were very near opening when Mayor Kraft came and told me that the city was going to be creating a special district here, so to encourage more development in the area. Yeah, you know, and when we were on the boat earlier today, I saw this, and this is another one of those things that popped into my head. The pelicans. And you guys were here in the late 70s.
Yeah.
Do you remember pelicans? Mm-hmm. And I worked on shrimp boats for most of the 70s, most of my childhood. And a pelican sighting was rare. Seagulls are everywhere. The history on it that I've told, and it's the same history as the bald eagle, is that DDT was a chemical used in agricultural fertilizers and such, pest control. But anyway, it was banned. Now pelicans are everywhere, and they're really cool to watch. Their flight formations and their fishing, their fishing techniques are just really neat to watch.
It would be pretty easy for Alabama's quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, to throw the distance from Tacky Jack's to Acme. So close, but the experiences are so different. We met with Matt Carroll, the general manager, to talk about Acme, but in reality, we just talked about the food. What's your favorite thing here?
Gulf Shores or at the restaurant?
At the restaurant.
Well, needless to say, the char grilled oysters. That's just, we are known for that. But again, there's so many different things on the menu. I mean, and they never know in the kitchen, but they'll definitely see the small etouffee with the fried crawfish tails is my go-to.
I see you have the menu in front of you, and my guess is you don't even need it.
Know most everything there and can tell you within an inch or two where it's located on the menu.
I think we need to eat some of those oysters.
Char grills should be on the way.
They're my favorite and my kids' favorite too. Let's go to Acme, and I know what they want: the grilled oysters and the boo fries. Here.
You know, one thing Dad was talking about was Canal didn't have a place to pull over in the city of Gulf Shores.
The whole idea, I guess, of the Intercoastal Waterway was for commerce. Over time, it's become a destination for joyriding, luxury boats, as well as commerce, and they get along. You go down Intercoastal and you're always passing barges and things, but it's nice.
Ooh, here come the char grilled oysters now.
Ooh,
here they are. Yeah.
Right on.
Here we go.
So this is my plate. Where's yours?
Buddy. It goes in the middle.
I've got forks for everybody.
Okay.
Fantastic. Yummy, yummy.
Thank you, sir.
Is there anything else I can get for y'all?
The choices are endless.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind a dozen raw.
The oysters, the bread,
I want to get
the etouffee.
bowl of the.
We enjoyed a leisure conversation about the craft of making fine local food. But it was really difficult to concentrate because it tasted so dang good. You've got some world-class shuckers here.
Guys are good. The guys are good. It's definitely an art to it.
My wife and I have enjoyed a couple gin and tonics sitting at your bar talking to the shuckers. And I was speaking with one. He says he's done contests where I can't remember how many he did, but I just couldn't believe it.
It's again, there's a trick to it, and the idea too. You know, it's not just about butchering them up and all. You know, you want to keep the presentation good and clean.
The shucking conversation went on, but my mind just kept drifting to the fact that after this visit, I was going to have to redeem myself at the gym. So what do you do after filling your belly full? How about taking in the arts? I'm not high-minded or classy, but I like beauty like the next guy. And the Art Alliance is on location, ready with paintings, photography, pottery. The list goes on. So how did the Art Alliance actually come to be?
Gulf Shores didn't have an art gallery. And so we decided we would just open one, and it's been successful. We decided to devote our time to establishing this gallery. We have art classes for children, and we have classes for adults. And that's pretty much ongoing. We have a resident artist, Tommy Vogel, who gives lessons, pretty much every week. We also have art markets 6 times per year, and we have a festival called Ballyhoo Festival in March. And we partner with the Porch Creek Indians for that event in Wind Creek. The Porch Creek Indians come every year, and they do original tribal dance in their ceremonial regalia.
When you look out front at the main part of the building, it seems so small, but when you walk in,
it goes all the way back.
Right, it's quite vast, actually.
It is. It is. This is some of the work of Claudia Hodges. She does amazing driftwood work. It's so intricate and so beautiful. We have the works of some of our local potters. This is Ann Webb from Magnolia Springs, and this is Larry Allen from Leeds, Alabama. Larry was commissioned to do a piece for Harper Lee, who wrote To Kill a Mockingbird, and also for Liberia's first female president. So he's a very well-known potter. And then we have our potter from Gulf Shores, that Steve Dark. He is a wonderful potter, one of the best in the Southeast. We have Greg Cartmel. He is from Meridian, Mississippi, and he is a very well-known international artist. He does a lot of landscape work. I did want to point out the work of Craig Reynolds, one of our Gulf Shores artists. He is really an amazing artist. But he goes to Billy's Seafood and to different areas around, and this is called Thunderhead. It's one of his prettiest works that I've seen.
And how did you get this location?
Well, Waterway Village was growing, and a lot of money was being put into here to change the landscape, and Acme Oyster House was coming in across the street, and we found this building and thought that it would be a good building and it would be in a good position to attract tourists and our locals.
Now that you've taken in the arts, you want to reflect, right? Well, there's no better way to do that than over a brewski. The newest member of the Waterway district is the Big Beach Brewery. For over a year now, they've been serving up award-winning cold ones. And by award-winning, I mean tasty. And it starts with Rodney Murray. What does he do?
I'm the head brewer for Big Beach Brewery. And the tail brewer, the middle brewer, the front brewer, and the back brewer. I'm the brewer.
So where did you learn how to do all that?
I was in the military, and I learned while at a year-long course at Fort Leavenworth in Kansas. There was a home brewer in the course, and by the time we left, all of us were home brewers.
See, I was in the Navy, and all I did was drinking. So you were way ahead of me.
So it's a 10-barrel brew house. That's an English unit of measure. 31 gallons per barrel, so roughly 310 gallons per batch. These are 10-barrel bright tanks, or 10-barrel fermenters, and then in our cooler we have 10-barrel bright tanks. So you basically just flow from one vessel to the next, and you don't have to worry about volumes at all, because you know what you brew there is going to fit here, will then fit in there.
And I think planning for a brew pub like this would be at the forefront. How much, and because you can't have it done in a day. It's not like making a pizza.
No.
Well, come on in, Evan. And can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Evan Camiotti, General Manager here at Big Beach Brewery. I was a chef in my previous life. I was 12 years in Tampa working as a chef down there. And then I'm always brewing, always learning the brew making process, but coming from the culinary side of it. And then eventually made my way in here to help with the front side of everything and the serving of the beer.
So I guess you taste everything he's putting together.
Oh, quality control is always important. You always got to taste and know exactly what's going on.
How many places can you go to work and drink on the job?
And you have to. I mean, it's a requirement. You have to. You know, I know what each of these tastes like at every step of the process. I know what it tastes like coming out of the boil kettle. I know what it tastes like halfway through fermentation. And if I taste it every day, if there's a problem, I'll immediately pick up on it, and then I can possibly, I mean, there are things you can do to remedy the problem so you don't lose an entire batch of beer. But if you don't taste it, if you just let it go and wait till the end, then it's a surprise to everybody. So,
well, I hope you have a ride home every day after work.
Small amounts, very small amounts.
Oh, okay. And you're award winning now?
I
now
well,
I have before, but yeah, I'm still award winning, I guess.
Well, that's great.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
You're keeping it going. So this brew pub isn't just an ordinary brew pub. It's a brew pub with a heart. It recognizes that when neighbors in Texas and Florida go through difficulties like Harvey and Irma, they're here to help. So the proceeds for tonight's yoga event go to charity to help those in need.
All right, we're here today with Glow Yoga and Big Beach Brewery raising money for charity. All of our classes at the brewery here are charity based. Today it was for Hurricane Harvey for the Houston Food Bank. I used to live in Houston, so I have a soft spot there. It's where I started to get really serious with my yoga. So, and we are just really happy to be here today to help people.
How well does yoga and beer go together?
You would be surprised.
I hope you've enjoyed this tour of the Waterway District. It's a wonderful place, but it isn't yet what it will be. This is the city's field of dreams. They are building it, and they want you to come. What will it be in 10 years? I have an idea, and I'm guessing the mayor does too. What about you? This video is powered by real estate. There are a lot of stories to tell, and we'd like to tell them. You can help us do that by using the Malone team for your real estate needs. We've got some people to thank, so we're going to run some credits. So you'll watch them, we're going to play more music by The Pollen. You can buy their music on iTunes, and we hope that you do that. Also, we're looking for some local musical talent to showcase in our productions. If this is you, please give us a call. Thanks for watching the video. Please like us or subscribe to us on social media.
a brighter next day if you stick around and see it. Honey, walk with me today and tomorrow. We'll talk about what's wrong with you. Oh dear, I'm crying here. I just met you, but I love you, and the end is not near. Oh dear, I'm crying here. I just met you, but I love you, and the end is not near. And the end is not near. Sweetheart, stop drawing things on the wall with the blood from your neck. Honey, you can let it all out. I know there's so much to cry about.